thought I'd do a tutorial on here. So we're going to be breaking down here into 3 different parts, teaching you how to draw, design hair, and it'll also help when colouring it. So I'll be teaching you as much as I can for various different styles and stuff like that, how to break it up, so that you can look at hairstyles and you can pretty much pull them apart to learn how to draw it yourself. So to start with, as you can see here, my lovely model, we'll call him Steve. Steve is can be either gender because he's going to have both boy and girl hairstyles, so welcome Steve. Anyway, what we're going to be doing is I've drawn a couple of hairstyles, well actually technically I've only drawn one, but just to show you a general idea of what we'll be doing, and in the next tutorial I do for this it'll be learning how to colour hair, because there are a few different ways you can colour it depending on the kind of style you've drawn it. So yeah, what we've got here is, if you've noticed, we've got the basic head. This is where your eyes would normally sit. I'll put the mouth. There we go, so it's beautiful. What you've got here, the red line, this is the hairline. So when you look in the mirror, if you pull your hair all the way back, you can generally notice that it grows from one specific point, and that is your hairline. So pretty much the red line is showing you exactly how your hair sits on your head, and pretty much you can go from there. So what we're going to start with is a fringe. When you draw hair, you can break it down into 3 parts. You break it down into your mane, which is pretty much the hair literally on the head. Your fringe, which is always at the front, and that pretty much defines the face for you, helps shape the face and stuff like that. And finally your ponytail or pigtails, so all your buns and everything, all at the back. So what we're going to do to start with is we'll start with the fringe. Now the fringe always comes from here, so it comes from the line. You can either have it so you can do styles where it comes directly from it and folds over. Whenever I sketch my hair out, I always do very quick motions, because with hair, if you notice, all of your hair obviously is in tiny strands. So the faster you move your pen or pencil, the quicker and smoother that the lines are, and the more it looks like hair. So you can also go to like shape it, so you know you can curve it, you know, have curved hair, etc. So it helps a lot. Other ways you can do it is sometimes clumping it. So clumping is the best way to draw hair. So you draw in big masses, so you don't have to draw as much hair, but again, very quick, sharp movements, and it just helps shape everything. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, after I erase this, here we go. So with this one, this fringe literally just coming off the top, that's it. So there's that kind of fringe. Obviously with 3/4 it's a tiny bit different. One side is going to be a bit more visible than the other, so this one would actually be thinner, because when it's turned this way you don't see as much of this side as you see of this side. It's something you learn later. I'm probably not sure if a lot of you know much about 3/4 view and stuff like that, but perspective and stuff is something you learn a lot later. So yeah, so we've got basic ones. You can also have it start, so you don't have to always have it start from the hairline. If you want it to come off the top of the head, you can start really wherever you want, but you want it closer to this line as you can, but make sure it doesn't go over the eyes unless that's the eye style. So another one you can do is, I'm going to have a pinpoint from here, so all of the hair comes from this way, so I'm going to be drawing it. So as you can see, sharp movements, and I'm pulling it from this point. This is the growth point. When you have a hairstyle, so actually I can just draw one on here. Even this one, all the hair grows from one point. At the moment it's grown from the hairline and it's been pulled back, so all the movement is coming from those 2 points. Normally when you've got hair that grows on its own, it'll always grow from a certain point, so you can have it come from one point on the head, like growing from here, and all your hair then is going to move depending in the direction that it's growing from. So it's going to start coming out from this way again, but as you can see, it's growing from this one point. All hair tends to grow from a certain point, and it comes more apparent because it helps stylize your hair and how it sits. So when you're drawing hair, that's always helpful to know, because it's like when you part your hair. Girls, obviously, when they part their hair for pigtails and stuff, you'll notice that it all parts from one side, and then you can do what you want with it. So once you've done that, you know, you can have it curl round, and then all the hair is just going to fall and come down to the side like that. And again, you're tying it here, so all of the points are going to be coming from here. This is the point that it comes from on the head, and this is the point where it's coming from in the where it's tied. So all of those points are going to come down to these points. Gravity is also important with long hair. Generally, it's actually a lot more straight than we think, but because you've got hair that moves a little bit, you will get more. It will more or less curve at the end, because the end is not as heavy. Around midway, your hair is actually quite heavy because it's got to carry a lot of weight. The ends of the hair are generally a little bit more loose, you don't have to worry as much, so they tend to flare out a little bit at the end. Okay, so back to the fringe. Fringes you can do in a lot of different styles. You can have them all go a certain direction, so all going one way. Again, point of motion, so you stick it from one point and you have it all go from that way, and then you can also have it go the other way as soon as you've gone past that point. So it just keeps a general direction going, and it helps put movement in your hairstyle without your character actually having to move. Other ones that I see people do, like your anime hairstyles, they generally go up, they curve around, so you've actually got, to be honest, all of your hair is coming from this part here. It's just that it's coming up first and then it comes down again. So your hair is pretty much like a wave at that point. It's gone in like this, pretty much. It's just like that. And then it's pretty much, you can just keep it going. So that's your average anime hairstyle. If you take off the fringe, so if you don't want a fringe anymore, generally when you look at the hair, up close, the hair is pretty much all pulling back from the head. So it's a lot like this, and again, a lot of very quick movements. You can cheat when drawing hair like that. I tend to just like put a squiggly line, and it still works. Just follow the hairline, and there you go. You've got, that is pretty much just hair pulled back, and then from there you want it to be pulled back again. This is your point. So all of your hair is pulled from the front. This is your point of movement, and the back, so this is where we could have it tied back. That is where it's going to go. So again, all those lines come from here, and that is how you get your hair tied back, etc., and how you draw it correctly. So it doesn't matter where you point it, so long as you put your point of contact, like your point of movement for the back where it's being held or, you know, pulled back, and then from where it's growing from, you can do any hairstyle. It doesn't really matter, and you'll always be able to draw it correctly. Okay, and I suppose from doing that, okay, if I put my point of movement from this side, and I want, so all of my stuff's going to be going that way pretty much. So from that, I can curve this one around, and I'm just going to have everything come from this end, and then why not, you can have bangs. So from bangs, they generally come off the side, so it's normally from here. It's a piece that's not attached to the fringe, and it's generally not, obviously it's left behind from whatever you've got that's not tied back. So they're a little bit more free flowing. There's not generally a lot. You don't normally have like really long bangs. Some people do. Obviously, because they're small, the shorter the hair, the more likely it is to defy gravity. So the longer it is, obviously, the further down you have to put it, and you can generally clump it a lot more. So with this one, I've decided I want this hairstyle to curve back. So that means there's a point of movement down here, and that means these will follow. And it's growing from this point again, so it's going to be coming up from here. And this will be coming over, because we, you know, if it looks a little bit like it's missing something, you can always stick it in. Okay, now the rest of the hair is going to be combed from that point. And we want short hair, so we'll just do short hair this time. Again, short hair. We don't have to worry about gravity as much with short hair because short hair is very light, so you can stylize it a lot easier when it's short. Generally speaking, the longer it is, you can't really stylize long hair so that it flares out like this, because it's pretty hard really, because of the kind of weight that's on it. It kind of just destroys it. That's why really long hair is not generally curly, it's a little bit more straight. So yeah, there we go, we've got long hair, and obviously at the back, a lot of people forget where there is the neck, so the back of the head, this is always going to be shaded, always. So like if the head wasn't there, this part here would always be completely shaded because the light can't hit it. So I will show how to do all that when I do a colouring tutorial on this, and I'll show the basics on colouring. It actually goes a lot to do with the drawing version of it, so to be honest, if you know how to draw it, you can generally colour it, which is helpful. Oh yeah, now the fun parts. There are a few other things that you can add to hair, so once you've got your ponytails and stuff, so obviously because there's a point of contact here, we could technically have a little ponytail sticking off the side. Again, because it's a short one, you can flick out the ends and you can have a lot less gravity in them, or you can actually make them go boof, which is fun. So we can do that. I'll just do another quick one for a little bit of understanding on that. So if we'll do an anime styled one this time. So you know you can clump it. Again, short, sharp strokes, like that. You just pretty much, you're quickly wanting to get your shape down. It doesn't have to be perfect, you can always clean it up later. So don't worry about getting the perfect hairstyle, you know, first try. Not everyone does, and that's quite alright. I still play around with mine a lot. Okay, so we've got this. On the other side, we're going to have it completely like this. So that one's pulled, obviously it means it's pulled back, which means that this one is a bit more free-flowing, so the back of this is probably going to be quite messy because it's going to be combed back, and I want like kind of spiky hair, again short and sharp, and there we go. So you can just attach those up. You don't attach all of them. If you leave some apart, it still looks good. So that's a one-sided thing. Another thing you can do, which a lot of people do with stuff like this, we've got your bangs or your fringe and that, you can put silly things in, like little bits of hair on the side. So like for really messy hair, you can put like a giant flick up the top if you want a specific hairstyle for that. You can put tiny bits of hair just off the hairstyle so that they're on their own, so it just looks a little bit more messy. Bits off the front, obviously. So that's just to add to the hairstyle and make it your own. A couple of hairstyles that I've got for characters of mine, and you probably always noticed, but I tend to have a habit of drawing a little fringe in the middle and then big bangs on the side. If you notice, it helps shape the face, so you can actually see the face a lot easier. You don't have to draw the cheeks as much, so you can actually use hair to hide little bits without having to do them. And I quite like the flick of the hair. Okay, now this one is pulling the hair both sides, so obviously this is your point of contact here. You got 2 points of contact going through from the middle, so you attach those up, and then her hair is very short, and the shorter it is, obviously the more gravity defiant it can be, but also the more buffy it can be. So obviously I've got to draw it very small here, and it's more fun actually. I quite like hairstyles like this. So there we go, we've got another basic kind of hairstyle. You can also, I'm just trying to think, you can also do like short hair attached with that. So if you wanted to leave hair at the back, it means that pretty much you would have it go all the way up to this one like that, but about here you can have another piece of hair going across and the rest of it can be left out. So you've still got your ponytail, which is obviously it's just because of 3/4 view, it's going to be a different angle. So obviously with this, if you put a piece of hair covering this bit, you can hide the fact that the point of movement has sort of ended. So you can either put a piece of hair behind it, or you can just split it, because obviously it's going to be split there. You can't have the hair moving in two directions without it being split. And then you can make it a long, short hairstyle as well as the pigtails at the top. So that is a lot of the basics. Pretty much you can use that to do any kind of hairstyle. It doesn't necessarily mean just draw these hairstyles. It means that so long as you've got your point of movement, so where the hair starts growing and where the hair is going to, so even if you just give yourself like a line to follow, then you can pretty much draw any hairstyle without really a lot of effort. So we've got, hairstyles like this. You can see the point of movement, it starts there and it goes all the way up to the hair where it's been bunched up. With this one, again, starts there, goes around, and it follows the same kind of line the whole way. So they're really good techniques to learn. Obviously not everyone draws hair the same way I do, and I don't expect you guys to. There are lots of ways people do hair. For some, I know people do very sharp strokes, so they don't really curve the hair much, but they pretty much, like some of your real full-blown anime styles, are very sharp hair. So it looks like you probably cut yourself on it. But again, it all moves from one point. So here's your point of movement. It's all come from that. It's a little bit more of a straight edge. So yeah, I hope that may have helped people. Not obviously, I'm still kind of new to tutorials and stuff like that, but this is roughly how I do it. I try to understand a little bit more on how it actually works. If you understand how something works, it's a lot easier to actually draw it, because you fully understand how it's going to move, how it's shaded and everything like that. So yeah. So anyway, I hope that helps, and I'll be doing a tutorial on colouring next time. So colouring the hair, where the shadows generally go, picking your light source and stuff like that, and maybe a couple of techniques on how I colour hair. So yeah, I will see you all next time. Bye!